UFC 309 is here, guys, and boy am I excited for this one. There's a lot of money to be made, so let's get straight into it. First fight of the night is going to be in the women's flyweight division between Veronica Hardy and Eduardo Moura. Let's start with the favorite, Veronica Hardy. She has looked really good in her fight since coming back from a long layoff. The addition of Dan Hardy has been an excellent move for her career, but she is fairly small, very quick in the stand-up, but she will be undersized in this bout. Eduardo Moura, even though she's moving up a weight class after missing weight at the strawweight division twice, moving up a weight class and still being bigger than your opponent who's been fighting in that weight class, that's Alex Pereira style. Eduardo Moura coming off a decision loss to Diniz where she showed a lack of a plan B when she couldn't get the fight to the ground. Before the Diniz fight, she used her judo skills and got fights to the ground where she found finishers of her opponents. I'm placing a bet on Eduardo Moura to win here because it's excellent value. People are undervaluing her after that Diniz performance. She will most likely be able to use her size to her advantage and get this fight to the ground and best Veronica Hardy. She's going to be marching forward, and I don't think that Veronica Hardy has the power to put her out or hit her hard enough to make her back up or become a little bit more hesitant. And that's how I can see the pressure getting to Veronica Hardy. Eduardo Moura is going to keep marching forward. She's eventually going to get the takedown, and the fight can be over there. Let's not be betting on the prop for this one. We're already betting on a dog. That's good enough value. Eduardo Moura to get it done. Next up, we got Oban Elliott matched up against Bassil Hafez, and this should be a good welterweight fight. Bassil Hafez came on a lot of people's radar after a good showing against Jack Della Maddalena. Bassil Hafez was the hardest fight that Jack Della Maddalena had at the time, and debatably ever. However, he didn't look good against Micky Gall in his last fight. He should have won that fight with ease, and didn't. He is predominantly a grappler with some power in his shots, but good luck trying to knock out Oban Elliott. He is so durable, and he can out-cardio Bassil Hafez. If Hafez tires himself out in the early stages of the fight, chasing a finish, which can definitely happen, I can see Oban surviving and winning the last 2 rounds. My pick is Oban to grind out a decision, but I'm not going to be placing a bet on this one. Next up, we got another welterweight fight between Micky Gall and Ramiz Brahimaj. Ramiz is a jiu-jitsu dude, which shows by all his wins coming by way of submission. Micky Gall is in no way, shape, or form a slouch when it comes to jiu-jitsu, but I don't think he's on the same level. Definitely he's good enough to survive. My pick is Micky Gall to win by keeping the fight standing as much as possible and outstriking Ramiz. Again, if he gets taken down, he should be able to survive. The only fear I have with placing a bet, which is why I'm not going to be placing a bet, is because he might be playing guard a bit too much. Very open to being on his back, and that can lose him rounds. He really needs to stick to the stand-up, in my opinion, and that's his path to victory. Now on to the heavyweights, and boy, is this a hard one to predict. We have Marcin Tybura set to face off against Jhonata Diniz. Diniz looked really nice in his last bout against Carl Williams, outstriking him and stuffing late takedowns. However, Marcin is going to try to do what Austin Lane did in round number 1 against Diniz. Get an early takedown and just work him. Diniz showed in his fight against Austin Lane that he has no kind of skill on the ground whatsoever. All that being said, I'm still going to be placing a bet on Diniz to win. He knows Marcin's game plan. So he's going to be a lot more prepared for the takedowns. Hopefully. If he can keep the fight standing, he will destroy Tybura. And that's what I see happening. Let's be honest, Marcin Tybura is not this blast double leg kind of guy. He kind of goes into takedowns in a sloppy manner. And that's where he's open to receiving some of those powerful shots by Diniz. So I see Diniz managing to land that KO shot and get the W. Now on to the lightweight division where we have Jim effing Miller set to face off against Damon Jackson. And both of these guys got beat pretty badly in their last fight, both losing by decision. Damon got beaten up in August against Chepe Mariscal, whilst Jim effing Miller got beaten up by Bobby freaking Green at UFC 300 in April. I think Damon Jackson is coming back a bit too soon after a beating like that, and Jim Miller is a veteran of the game. I have a bet on the underdog here. I think Jim Miller can get the job done. I think he's a sound grappler and has the harder hitting strikes. The only worry is that he uses too much energy trying to go for takedowns or put Damon out on the feet, and Damon can kind of use his cardio to win the later rounds. But it's less likely for that to happen because, again, it's Jim Miller. This guy has so much experience. He should know how to avoid making mistakes in terms of managing his energy at this point in his career. So the bet and the pick is going to be Jim Miller to get the job done. Next up, we have Chris Weidman set to face off against Eryk Anders. I am so confident in Chris Weidman getting the victory here. I'll be placing a 1-unit bet on Weidman to win. Eryk Anders is going to try to impose his will in a wrestling-heavy game plan to win. But let's be honest, you're fighting Chris Weidman here. That plan is not going to work. Against Jamie Pickett, Anders was struggling to look dominant. And that was against a guy who said prior to the fight that he's going to be retiring. Not a good look by any means. Chris Weidman should be able to do anything he wants. He can surely stuff takedowns. He can even land takedowns of his own. He can outstrike him. If he gets the fight down to the ground, he can ground and pound his way to a TKO victory or work his way to a submission. Anders is extremely durable, so I don't see a finish happening here. Don't bet on method of victory again. We're betting on an underdog here. That's good enough value. On to the bantamweight division where we have Jhonata Martinez set to face off against Marcus McGhee. Jhonata is coming off a dominant loss to Jose Aldo, and Marcus McGhee is coming off a win against Gaston Bolaños. You see how good Gaston is in its last fight. In the last fight night, Martinez, he has a very simple game plan. He is going to march forward and try to land some of his famous leg kicks against McGhee, softening him up and making him immobile. Maybe even getting another leg kick finish. But I back the side of Marcus McGhee. I'm going to be placing a bet on him as well. He should be very aware of the heavy leg kicking game plan of his opponent and should be able to prepare with either counter strikes or be able to check him. Once he can find his way to nullify leg kicks from Martinez, the fight is his for the taking. He has so much power at this weight class, and if he were to intercept a leg kick with some strikes, the likelihood of Martinez having success in this fight just goes down more and more. So I pick Marcus McGhee to get the job done here. On to the lightweight division where we have Mauricio Ruffy set to face off against James Llontop. This is a fight that's so much of a layup for Ruffy to showcase his skill set. All Ruffy's fights end by way of KO, even his one loss finished by KO. And Llontop has never been finished in his career. Until this Saturday, I strongly believe that Ruffy is gonna put is lights out. I'm gonna be placing a bet on Ruffy to win by KO under 2.5 rounds. The value for that is way too sweet for me to refuse, so you gotta capitalize on that. Next up, we have a women's flyweight fight between Karine Silva and Viviana Araujo. To me, it's gonna be an easy dub for Karine Silva. Method of victory is hard to predict because Karine is a talented grappler who could submit most in the division, and Araujo has never been submitted before. I think we're getting a lot of bets already, so let's not place one on this one and force a play. Next up, we have another middleweight bout between Nickal and Paul Craig. Definitely a fight to fade because the odds are not worth the risk. I see Bo being able to do anything he wants because Paul Craig is not on the same level. Nickal should be able to get a takedown with relative ease. Paul Craig is way too welcoming off his back. Nickal can also fake a takedown and land an overhand, which is going to put Paul's lights out. It's a wrestler's favorite punch. But the way I see this fight going is Bo getting the takedown and getting a finish. But no bet on this one because again, he can win by ground and pound or he can win by submission. But putting a bet on him to win by finish is way too low. And now it's time for the co-main event of the evening where we have a rematch between Michael Chandler and Charles Oliveira. I got the same feat happening in this one. The bet is going to be Charles Oliveira to win in under 2.5 rounds. Yes, Michael Chandler is very explosive, but there are too much openings when he strikes. I believe he will be a lot more cautious because he knows that Oliveira can put him out, but eventually he will revert to his old habits because that's exactly who he is, especially if he hurts Oliveira. If that happens, Oliveira would probably be able to catch him with a counter shot like a check hook and put Chandler on wobbly legs. And Oliveira is one of the best when it comes to getting guys out of there. If you are hurt and you're fighting Oliveira, that's a nightmare. So I think he's going to get the job done in under 2.5. On to the main event that we would have appreciated a lot more if it was done 3 years ago. Jon Bones Jones set to face off against Stipe Miocic for the heavyweight strap. Think about it. If we got this match right after Stipe poked his way to a decision victory against Daniel Cormier, that would have been a dream fight. Booking this fight at this point in time when you got a contender like Tom Aspinall waiting in the wings, it's not a good look. But let's not mess around too much and let's get straight into the breakdown for this fight. Stipe Miocic, heavyweight GOAT, most consecutive title defenses in UFC history, 2-time heavyweight champ, beats some of the best heavyweights to ever do it as well. The big problem with Stipe Miocic is he's coming off a KO loss that happened in 2021 and hasn't fought since. He is also 42 years of age, 5 years older than Jon Bones Jones. Jon Jones, on the other hand, yeah, as I said, you do math, he's 37 years of age, and he is coming off a dominant first round submission against Ciryl Gane. His problem is he's coming off a torn pectoral muscle, so the question is, how good is he expected to look after such an injury? He isn't as experienced as Stipe Miocic at the heavyweight division, but his skill set is one of the best, if not the best. He's the best fighter of all time in most eyes, especially Dana White. Play for this one is gonna be Jon Jones to win over 1.5. I think Jon takes some time to figure Stipe out. The takedowns should be there, but he has to keep his distance, use his long reach and his range to avoid the power of Stipe, because Stipe has got some heavy hands and he can put Jon Jones out if he catches him. Should be a fun one. We'll This has been my UFC 309 picks and predictions. Be sure to leave a like, comment, let me know what you think of them down below. Subscribe, follow me on TikTok, follow me on Twitter, support the channel on the Patreon, and I'll catch you in the next one. Until then, game time.